Hello everyone, today we're going to look at supply, demand, and the equilibrium point. How does a business decide at what price to sell a product? They need to make sure that they make a profit, but they also need to make sure that it's not too expensive for customers to buy, or that it's not too cheap that customers don't think that it's worth anything. So this is when we talk about supply versus demand. So demand, which I have here in blue, is the consumer's willingness to purchase a product at a specific price. Supply, the one on the right in the red, is related to demand. They want to maximize their profit, the sellers, which means they want to sell more when the price is high. So if you're looking at the demand, as the price increases, the quantity is decreasing. So this is kind of, you can usually think of it more as backwards. Or on the other hand, as price decreases, the quantity increases. I'll buy more of it if it costs less. Supply, on the other hand, is if the price is higher, I'm going to create more because I want to sell more. So what we want to do is we want to combine these two together. And where they intersect is the equilibrium point. So this is where the consumer is happy buying the amount of things at this price, and the seller is happy with supplying this amount of items at that particular price. Just like with the break-even point in cost and revenue, it's where the two are equal. So if I want to find it algebraically, I'll set the two equations equal and solve. So find the equilibrium point for each situation. The units are in thousands. So typically we're going to be given P and Q versus X and Y. So P is the price and Q is the quantity. So instead of X and Y, it's just P and Q. So if you look at the equation, P equals 4Q plus 12 and P equals negative Q plus 30. P, the price, is like the Y. Q, the quantity, is like the X, the number of units. Okay. So again, what we want to do is we want to set these two equations equal to each other. So 4Q plus 12 equals negative Q plus 30. And if we solve this, we should get 3.6. So remember, you're solving an equation. You have variables on both sides, so you want to combine them. So I'm going to bring my Q over and get 5Q. That looks more like a G. Let me fix that. Q. And then bring the 12 over, and 30 minus 12 will give me 18. Divide both by 5, and I'll get Q is 3.6. That's the quantity. And again, the equilibrium point needs two numbers. It needs the quantity and the price. So I'm going to take that 3.6, I'm going to plug it into either my supply or my demand. You really want to plug it into both to make sure your answer is correct, so you should get the same answer either way. And we should be getting 26.40. Okay, so the point is 3.6, comma, $26.40. Remember that P is the price, so make sure your answer is rounded to 2 decimals. 26.4 doesn't make sense when you're talking about money. You don't say, I have $26.4. You say, I have $26.40. Let's try another one. Supply is P equals 2Q plus 22. Demand is P equals negative 2.5Q plus 40. And again, we'll set them equal to each other. And then solve. So again, I want to put all my Q's on one side, all my constants on the other. So if I, let's try that again. If I add 2.5Q over, I have 4.5Q equals, subtract 22 to the other side, 18. Divide both sides by 4.5, and I should get a really nice 4. Now remember, this 4 isn't, I need to sell 4 things, I need to sell 4 things, it's 4,000, okay? So just like the 3.6 from before, it's 3.6 thousand, so 3,600, okay? So just keep that in mind, so these numbers make more sense in that regard. So then I'm going to plug Q into, again, either P's, hopefully both, to make sure you have the right answer, and we should be getting 30. So if I set my selling price to $30, I can expect to sell 4,000 units. Let's sketch the supply and demand lines, clearly labeling the equilibrium point. So in order to graph it, I need 2 points for every line, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph the y-intercepts and the equilibrium point, and that will give me my 2 points per line. So I'm going to set them equal to each other. 8q plus 52 equals negative 4q plus 100. Running out of room over here. Again, I'm going to put all my q's together. So I'll have 12q. Subtract the 52 over. I'll have 48. Q is 4. I didn't write it, but just like before, we can think of this as in thousands. So 4,000. Then I'm going to plug it into either my supply or my demand. And either way, I should be getting that P equals 84. So again, to graph it, I have for my supply, my y-intercept of 52, plus my equilibrium point. And for the demand, I have my y-intercept of 100, plus my equilibrium point. So I have to figure out what I want my x's and y's to go by in order for this to make somewhat sense. So just like with the break-even point, I want to have my equilibrium point somewhere in the middle. So Q being 4, I'm going to put 4 in the middle. Okay. If I want to go by ones or whatever. And then I need to make sure that I can figure out where 52, 84, and 100 are on my lines, at least, roughly. That doesn't have to be exact. So I'm going to go by 20s. And I don't really have much room here, so I'm going to try to squeeze it in. 20, I'll label a couple of them. 60, 100. Okay, so I have those guys, and then I'm going to do my points. So for the supply, 0, 52, and it's roughly there. 100 for the demand. So I have my 2 y-intercepts, and then I have my equilibrium point, 484. That's roughly around there. Try to make it as nice as you can. I know no one's perfect though. And then to draw my graphs, I'm going to use 2 different colors. So I'm going to do my supply in red. It's going to be this line. I'm also going to label it. So if you don't have different colors, make sure you label them. And I'm going to do my demand in blue. So remember, demand is the negative slope, or the decreasing line, because the higher the price, the lower the demand. And then supply is the increasing line, because the higher the price, the more they want to supply the product. Let's do one more. So we have the supply is P equals 7Q plus 50. The demand is P equals negative 8Q plus 80. To find the equilibrium point, again, I'm going to put them equal to each other. I kind of ran out of room again. Put all my Q's on one side. Put all of my constants on the other. Divide. And we should be getting that Q equals 2. Plug that into the supply and the demand equation. Make sure you're getting the same number out. And we should be getting that P equals 64. And then, again, I want that equilibrium point to be somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to go by ones and just make them kind of big. For the y values, I need to make sure that I can tell 50, 64, and 80 apart. So I'm going to go by, say, 15s. So I'm just labeling them. Every other one I'm going to label 30. So they're going by 15s. And then to do my points, so the supply y-intercept is 50. So that's right around there. The demand intercept is 80. It's right around there. And then the equilibrium point, 264. It's again right around there. So just make it as close as you can. And then for the lines, I'm going to do supply in red. and that is those 2 points. I'll label it. Demand is going to be in blue. That's going to be those 2 points. Okay? So just make sure that you read through the book and try the homework, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.